Now let's look at direct variation. So what is direct variation? In direct variation, an increase in a variable leads to a direct increase in the other variable, and the converse is also true. So let's look at this example. For instance, as a trader, the more quantity you sell Q, the more money you make. So what do we mean by that? Let's imagine a trader that sells oranges. So this trader sells oranges. So what happens as the trader sells more oranges? As she sells more oranges, then directly she makes more money. And as she sells lower amount of oranges, she makes what? Lesser amount of money. So we can see that as the sales increase, the money that she makes increase. As the quantity decrease, the money that she makes also what? Decrease. So this is an example of a direct variation where as a particular variable, in this case the quantity increase, then it leads to a direct increase in another variable. So how do we write that? We make use of the proportionality sign, and we just write it out as the quantity Q is proportional to M. So what this means is that the quantity is proportional to M, directly proportional to be precise, meaning that as the quantity increases, the money increases, and as the quantity decreases, the money made also decrease. So how do we solve this? Now, as you can see, Q proportional to M is not an algebraic expression, and there is no way we can mathematically solve for either Q and M. So we need to remove the proportionality sign. So how do we achieve that? To remove the proportionality sign, we introduce the constant of proportionality and change the proportionality sign to an equals to sign. So what do I mean? That means we replace the proportionality sign, we replace it with an equals to sign and a constant of proportionality. So in this case, the proportionality sign here, Q, now is being changed to equals to and K. So we have Q is equals to Km, where K is a constant of proportionality. So this is how we transform the proportionality sign to an equal to sign. We write an equal to sign and we include a constant of proportionality. So how do we deal with this? So first, we need to find the constant of proportionality when we are given a question. So how do we do that? To be given a particular instance or scenario, and based on that instance, we'll find the value of K. Once we find the value of K, we can substitute it back to the general form of the equation to get the relationship between Q and M. So to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's look at one example in details. So here we are told that D is directly proportional to S. So we have what? D being directly proportional to S. So to remove this proportionality sign, what do? We change it to an equals to sign and we add a constant of proportionality. So what do we have to do now? As I've explained, we need to find the constant of proportionality. And how do we do that? In the question, we'll be given an instance. And what do I mean by an instance? We are told that when D is equals to 140, S is equals to what? 35. So this is equals to 140 when S is equals to 35. So we know that when S is equals to 35, that D is equals to 140. So we can use this instance to find the value of K. So we are given that D is equals to Ks. So if we divide both sides by S, you can see that our K is equals to what? D over S. So based on that instance, we know that our K will be 140 over 35. And what is 140 over 35? That gives us 4. So the constant of proportionality is 4. So we now substitute that value back into the general form of the equation and replace it with K. So we have what? D is equals to 4S. So this represents the relationship between D and S. So this represents the relationship between D and S. So with this equation now, we can find other instances if you are given only one variable. So in the B part of the question, we are told to find s when d is equals to 176. So we know that d is equals to 4s. We are told to find s. So if we divide both sides by 4, what does that tell us? We know that that s is equals to d over 4. So in this case, my d is 176, so divided by 4. And 176 divided by 4 gives me 44. So when d is equals to 176, the value of s is equals to 44. So that is the answer to this question. Finally, let's look at one more example that has to do with direct variation and see how we tackle it. So here we are told that if y varies directly as the square root of x, so how do we write that out? So we write y varies directly as the square root of x. So as I've explained, we first try to remove the proportionality sign by changing it to an equal sign and adding a constant. So we have y being equals to a constant times the square root of x. So what is the next thing we have to do? We have to find the value of k. And we'll find the value of k by applying an instance that we are given. So we are being told that y is equals to 3 when x is equals to 16. So when x is equals to 16, we are told that y is equals to 3. So we can use this condition to find the value of k. So now we know that y is equals to k times the square root of x. So if we divide both sides by the square root of x, then what are we left with? We're left with k being equals to y over the square root of x. So we can easily evaluate the value for k. So we have k is equals to, my y is 3 over the square root of 16. And what does that give me? 3 over the square root of 16 is 4. So I have k is equals to 3 over 4. So what do I do now? I put that value of k back into the general equation. So now I have the equation connecting y and x as y is equals to 3 over 4 times the square root of x. So this is the general equation connecting them. So the question now asks us to find y when x is equals to 64. So now we know that y is equals to 3 over 4 times the square root of 64. So we just work that out. And that will be 3 over 4 times the square root of 64 is 8. So we know that 4 here 1, 4 here 2. So I left it 3 times 2. So y will be equals to 6. So the correct option to this question is option T. So y is equals to 6. And I should mention that this is a jam-packed question. So you can see how to apply the concept of variation and how we can remove the proportionality sign to constant. So what do we have to do next? Then we need to find the value of that constant. And once we find the value of that constant, we substitute it back here to get the general relationship. And when we get the general relationship, we can now use it to find any other variable if you are given one of the other variable. So that sums up all that you need to know with regards to direct variation.